Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy week 6. I hope you are doing well and you're almost done with the course, which is wonderful. I'm sure you will enjoy a break after so much hard work and reflection. And so this week we are looking at the parent school community engagement support in our articles. And some of you have already talked about this in your projects, and now you're going to be getting some more information about it as well. So, some of the things that I want you to consider, and I'm just going to pull this directly from the second article, the Harvard article on strong family and community engagement. Some of the things that the former deputy superintendent in the Boston Public Schools shares is successful family engagement requires resources, infrastructure, and leadership. And I think it's very important that leadership is tied to those because without someone taking the initiative, to make sure that schools have what they have and the resources that parents, families need, then these parents aren't going to know what's available for them. And that's not going to help build community. And so, don't just assume that a counselor at the school is going to give them a list of places if you find out that a student is unhoused or you find out that there is an incarcerated parent or a death in the family. You can absolutely give that information to a counselor, but you're going to want to follow up and make sure that that student's okay, that that parent's okay, that that parent has the resources that they need. And even outside of that, if we're just looking at technical resources, um, you know, technology is great, and having like Canvas and School Loop and Blackboard and being able to come into you, look, you're home right now, or you're on the road, or you're in your classroom, and here I am with you. How cool is that? I mean, I love that advancement in technology. However, I'm a tech savvy person. And obviously, if you're doing an online course, you probably have some tech background as well. You're comfortable uploading, downloading, making clips, making presentations, doing all of these things. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. I'm going to silence that right now. And that's not the case for all parents. And so, one of the things is you're going to want to make sure that any technology you're using for communicating in your classroom, that your parents know how to use it. The simplest way to do that is to make a video, to make a clip. Let me show you how to use Turnitin. Show them the screen. Show them how you grade. Put up a fake test student paper. Show them what you do. Show them where the feedback is. Those types of things, so they know how to sign in, how to sign out. All of those things. Don't assume anything. Um, Same with Google Classroom or Canvas or Blackboard. Make videos to show them. Put it up at the beginning of the year. Do a digital syllabus and have it there so they know where to look. And then you can also create some type of assignment, that shows that the parents know how to look. Or you can do a check-in, or you can do a Zoom coffee chat. Hey, if you still need help with technology, I'm going to be online from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Just pop in. No need to make an appointment. Just pop on in. That's the great thing about breakout rooms. If you need to have a private conversation, you can go into a breakout room. You can manage it just like you manage your students, but make sure they have everything they need. Do they have Wi-Fi at home? Do they have a computer? Is your district making sure, equitable practices? If you're in California, the Williams Act, then you have to make sure that they have equitable resources. Digital textbooks, they're not always easy to navigate. And when we used the Pearson digital textbook, I loved that book, but it was not easy to navigate online. I had to give very specific instructions to my students, to my parents, and once again, make a video to be able to help them, to show them how to do that. So it's not enough to say, oh, well, I've got Canvas, and so therefore I'm communicating. It's I've got Canvas, I'm communicating, but let's make sure that our parents are able to access this and communicate in return. Which brings me to what I've already talked about before, and I talked about it in either the week 4 or the week 5 discussion board in my video, is that don't just contact parents about so and so struggling or so and so threw a pencil today. Find ways to contact parents when just for no reason at all, just to say hello or something good or something funny that happened that you thought was just wonderful, or their student helped facilitate the learning of another student. And once again, you can make, and I talked about this in either week 4 or week 5 in the discussion board response. you can make clips. You can make video clips telling them something cool about their student that you can just put in the Canvas when you're giving feedback on an assignment. Wow, you did really good on this assignment, and please play this for your parent, and then you can say your nice note. Same with Turnitin. You can leave audios. You want to do things to continually build that relationship and that engagement, but you want to do it in a way where you can work smarter, not harder, so that you can get it in on a regular basis, but not become overwhelmed with contact. Because no matter how much you want to contact, if especially in the upper grades where you've got like 150 or 160 students, you have to figure out a way to rotate that through so that you're not overwhelmed. Educators need to be intentional about building relationships based on mutual respect and trust. This is a big one, and a lot of people have biases related to this, and a lot of people get triggered easily about this. And so we need to make sure we're careful and that we are showing that we are advocates of education and that we are doing what we can to make people feel comfortable in our educational community. And as it says, schools have not valued all families, especially those in historically underserved communities that have experienced generational disrespect. Listen to all parents and offer opportunities to them for leadership. Efforts should focus on students' learning and development. Effective family engagement is never weaponized. And I live in Long Beach. We had Japanese internment in Long Beach during World War II. We're on lands of indigenous people, the Tongva people. And so we have to consider those things, as we are speaking to people, as we are bringing people into our community, and making sure that we are respectful to everybody that comes into our classroom or makes contact with us. Um, Educators must be trained and supported to work with families from all backgrounds. This is where professional developments come in. And this is where you have to be really thoughtful about your own implicit bias and your own history. And, sometimes you can make mistakes without even realizing you're making a mistake. And I talk to the kids about this, all of the time. I mean, my high school kids, I talked about it with all of the time. And so PDs are the way to go. Um, Intimate PDs where people can talk, where people can be called in. You've heard me say this numerous times. It's very easy to get triggered in these conversations, and we have to step back and unpack it and figure out why we're getting triggered. Okay? So that's something that we want to continually work on. You being in this class makes a difference in how you think. Not that you weren't thinking how, not that you weren't into it before, but I mean, a lot of times when you're in classes like this and you're doing higher education, you start thinking, wow, I didn't think about it that way. Or wow, I didn't think about it that way, either. And with my high school students, I used to talk quite a bit about our generational differences and how I could get triggered based on how old I was and what I went through specifically as a woman during the time that I grew up compared to now. And and I talk, of course, a lot about ageism, those types of things. So think of those things. We want to think outside of the box. And I forget whose project it was, but somebody had off the top of my head, I can't remember whose project it was, but it was talking about walking in someone's shoes. And that is not a cliche saying. That's something that we need to consider as we're working with parents and not judge and try to call them in and know that they do want what's best for their children, even if they're not at school every day. And so remember that, as we're going through. Um, Begin reaching out to families when children are young. I love this one, and you may think, well, I teach high school. How can I do that? Well, you're doing it if you're talking to parents with siblings that are going to come up in your room. And that's one of the things that I have loved in years of teaching is that when parents come to back to school night or when they come to open house, or when they come to events, I always make sure that I talk to the younger siblings And even if I don't know if they're going to have me, I'll be like, in 10 years, I'm going to be your teacher. And they get all big and smiley and all happy about it. And, if you teach long enough, and some of you there's people in here that have taught 20 years, 25 years, you're up there with me. When you've taught long enough, when you have siblings, it's great. And I can remember when these littles come up and how much their parents appreciate already having this relationship, this connection with me. And then whenever the sibling gets in, they're like, "Do you remember, Miss Wood, when you said?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I did." And that matters. Those little interactions matter. Just walking to from your car to the classroom in the morning to your classroom back to your car or your bike or whatever. I always use that opportunity. I always build an extra few minutes of time, not every day, but if I can do like an extra 10 minutes both ways, then I know that I can stop and I can say hi to marching band or my students in marching band. I can say hello to my colleague that's running marching band. I can see parents there. I can meet younger siblings. Same with sports, dance, theater. There's so many kids that are there before school and after school in high school. Younger grades, many parents, if they can, or grandparents walk their kids to school. You don't have to be out every day, but if you can be out and say, "Oh, Fred, who's this? Is this who's walking you to school today?" And then he says, "Oh, this is Grandma Lois." "Well, hi, Grandma Lois." Okay, and that's how we build community and make these children and the smaller children that are with them, the siblings that are with them, we start building this from day one. And so take that time from elementary to middle school to high school and even in college. Even in college. And that's something that I do miss. I love being online with all of you, but I do miss seeing you in person, running into you like on campus, those types of things, and building connections. So we want to do that, especially in this day and age where there is so much of a disconnect. Okay. Communicate clearly and consistently. Messages need to be accessible to everyone, including families who speak different languages. So find out right away if English really is the preferred language to communicate. And a lot of people speak English, but that doesn't mean that they understand English. I have a restaurant that I like to go to, a Mexican food place I like to go to, and I'm really close to the kids that work there. I've been going there for years, and I'm really close to the kids. In fact, they're not even kids anymore. They're like in their 30s, but I call them my kids. And one of the waitresses was waiting on my husband and I this last week, and she speaks English amazingly and no accent, at all, has grown up speaking English. But her mom is dealing with a health issue right now. And she was telling Stephen and I how when she was at the hospital, the doctor was speaking in English to her because, of course, she could translate for her mom, but that she didn't really understand how to translate all of the medical terms and to explain to her mom what was going on, even though she speaks, English perfectly, but she couldn't explain that. And then her mom was getting really frustrated because she wasn't understanding what her daughter was trying to say. And I could see, Stephen and I could see that she was quite emotional. And so I just took a moment to give her resources related to those types of things. Social workers at the hospital, translators at the hospital, that the doctor, that she had the right to request that before the doctor even started speaking about it, and that the doctor probably made an assumption. And we have a tendency to make those assumptions as well. So you want to make sure that they have the resources that they need, that they're getting the newsletters in the language that they prefer the newsletters in, and that they're being contacted by translators, that district provided translators that actually know how to translate, or that you're translating because you're bilingual or trilingual or quadlingual, which would be awesome. Okay, and then don't forget equity. Educators should be sensitive about the realities of busy family life, including parents' work demands and child care. And immigrant families can also face unique challenges. I've talked to you about this numerous times, so I don't need to talk to you about it again. I'll just say single parents, parents that have lost children that have lost a parent, incarcerated parents, children being raised by aunts, uncles, grandparents, those types of things. And here in California, Long Beach, We actually have a program called Migrant Ed because we have students whose families are farm workers who are traveling up and down the coast doing farm work, and students are pulled out of school. And so when they come back, they'll do like Saturday school and those types of things to catch up. So we have to consider those things as well. What's going on with our families. And the last thing in this article, which I really love, is show some love. Student centered schools focus on what is best for the children and the community, not just the educators. This is love work, explained MAP. You must love fully the families and the children and the communities you serve. Having said that, I want you to remember this, and I've said this before. Love is also self care, okay? You want to love your families, you want to love your children. This is hard work, educating little human beings. This is emotional work, educating little human beings. And you want to make sure that you're loving yourself and taking care of yourself, and that you understand that boundaries are in place for you to be a better educator, for you to better support other people. But if you're not taking care of yourself, and people will make you feel poopy sometimes when you're like, I'm setting a boundary, I've got to do this, you have to do it. Okay. We've heard this saying forever. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Okay. All right. I have talked for over 16 minutes. I'm sure you're going to listen to this on triple speed. Be well. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.